going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Chasing Dreams podcast with Charlie and Justin. This is episode 66, and it is a frigid Saturday night like they've all been pretty much lately, huh?
Yes, it is.
So how's week 2 of fatherhood?
Awesome. Week 1 was great. Not a whole lot of sleepless nights after she was here. Week 2, can't say the same. We had a couple rough nights, but you know how it is. It's a learning process. You know, it's like first time when you go to the gym, everything's great at first, and then you get real sore, and you have to figure out how to work through muscle recovery and stuff. So, I mean, that's kind of my analogy for it, is just working through the kinks.
How have you been able to navigate training?
Awesome. It was tough to think about at first, like how it was going to work, but it's been fine. Like, my wife was cool about it. Like, she was like, yeah, you need to get back to your normal, you know? So, like, officially went back in service to the fire department and started going over and lifting every night, and it's good.
Yeah, I feel like you kind of stressed yourself out more thinking about the change than the actual change would have stressed you out.
Right, exactly. Yeah, that's the best way to put it.
Yeah, how many people, myself included, so I guess I'm probably the biggest offender of this, but how many people create a reality in their mind that's worse than the reality that plays out?
I agree. I think that's exactly what I did, to be honest. Like, because I was worried about it. I was, because everybody said things are going to change, and I've been pretty adamant, headstrong, it's not going to change. As far as I'm going to go to the gym, I am going to work out, I am going to eat clean, I am going to run. All these things are going to happen.
Yeah.
But in the back of my mind, I was thinking about, like, man, it's probably going to be tough. And then she gets here, and it was tough for a minute, but it works itself out. You know what I mean? Like, I pick up extra night feedings and diaper changes so she can sleep, and then in the evening she just takes over for me to go to the gym. It works out.
The learning curve with anything just gets better with time.
Yes.
So, absolutely. Like, anytime you have to change, because, like, for me, the one thing that I've talked about before has always been, like, client load. Like, I felt like I was overrun work-wise when it came to the number of clients that I had when I had, like, 5 clients. Not that it was the 5 clients, but it was the 5 clients with coaching, with teaching, with bodybuilding, that kind of added up, and then it was 10, and then it was 15, then it was 20, then it was 30, now it's 40, 50, it keeps going, and like...
I bet, ironically, now, I think that's what you're basically saying, is it's easier now.
Yeah, you find ways to, like, streamline stuff.
Yeah,
like, I told you that was one of my goals for 2021, is to continue to try to find ways to, like the saying I always use, work smarter, not harder. I want to work as hard as I can, but also as intelligently as possible. So how can I... the things that I do with one client may not be sustainable when you have 5 or when you have 10 or when you have 30. So I want to find ways to, like, streamline the processes that I do, make my time more efficient, cut down even little things like travel time, so somehow find ways to, like, multitask even. Mm-hmm. And I know that I'm not trying to compare me having more clients at the gym to being a father, like having a daughter. I mean, I know it's a huge undertaking and substantially life altering, obviously, but I just think that with anything in life, the only thing that you need is more time to be able to, like you said, work out the kinks.
Right, absolutely.
Just takes a lot of effort and planning, and then not only that, but then executing that planning and seeing if it works or not. Because you can create the schedule in your mind, and it may work out on paper, but then when you actually put it into play, is that sustainable for you? Is it sustainable for your wife? Just is it sustainable for your energy?
Right.
Like, I know people that set up diet plans and workout plans that I think is a little bit overzealous, especially when they're starting from nothing, and then they start on this big plan and it's not sustainable because they can't handle it because they're not used to that type of a lifestyle. Then they revert back to their old ways really quickly. That's why I'm in big favor of taking, like, small steps.
Right.
Like for you, you said basically you weren't, I don't want to say you weren't worried about training, but the specifics were not really etched in stone yet. You said, I just want to get to the gym at night, training at the fire station this many days a week.
Right.
And then go from there. We can add, subtract, alter as we need to, but you just kind of had these baby steps first. Let's just get back to training, doing something active, and then go from there.
And it's been worth it, man, because, like, I tell you, transitioning from a fully stocked gym like I was training in before to now I'm at the fire station, and we have a very limited supply of stuff. So it's kind of old school.
Don't you find beauty in that, though?
Yes.
Like, I know that you and I have talked about this before, and, like, you find almost, like, a little bit of euphoria in the primitive. Like, we talked about, like, I don't even wear shoes.
Right.
You know, like, I go on, even, heck, during the quarantine, I would go on nature walks and go on, like state parks and go on these hikes through the woods with no shoes.
Right.
I don't even like wearing them. You know, so I think that there's something to be said about the bare minimum and what that brings you. And then you can kind of talk like about skill mastery, like focusing on the basics. Like there's no such thing as doing the basics too much or getting too good at the basics.
Right.
Like, so those foundational movements in the gym or in business or in life, you know, you can really benefit from scaling back and having just this, and this. Like one of the things that I don't want to get too far off topic, but like I talk with my athletes all the time that I train is I teach movement very broad and generally. So like our movement training, like our athletic development, like our jumping, our sprinting, our flipping, our rolling, our crawling, every type of human movement, like, and that takes into account mobility. All of that stuff I try to be as broad and multiple as possible. We try to do every type of movement. When it comes to strength development, I'm the opposite. I don't train a million different movement patterns for my athletes. Like, if I want them to be strong, I need to teach them movements almost in the sense of skill acquisition. So what I do is I say to them, you know, if you can squat 500 pounds, you're going to be strong and explosive. It doesn't matter how much you can leg curl, how much you can leg press, how much you can do on a leg extension, how much you can split squat. If you can barbell squat 600 pounds, you're going to be strong.
Right.
And so when I start people off on any type of a training program that's an athlete, it's always based on teaching the exercise as a skill, not working out necessarily with multiple exercises. And I find that they make so much more progress when they work on setting a PR in like some type of overhead press or some type of rack pull or something like that week to week, versus saying, okay, we're going to do this exercise, so on and so forth. So it's very, very bare bones for me.
And it's definitely, and that's a fact. That's not like your opinion either. It's a fact. Because, like, I've trained with you for over a year, almost 2 years.
Yeah.
And now I'm creating a training program for the fire station, and I'm programming I wouldn't say exactly the same, but heavily tuned off of what you've done for me and like what you've taught me. So like that's all we're doing is, you know, push pull legs, we're benching, we're squatting, we're deadlifting, and then we're doing a lot of mobility stuff, a lot of short sprints, footwork, stepping up and down off the trucks, doing like box jump stuff, dragging. But like the actual strength movements, we're not in the weight room for very long.
Yeah.
You know, we're doing most of our workouts in the garage and getting a good sweat on and you know, that competitive stuff. But in the weight room, it's like literally like you said, like trying to set, not like going for like 1 rep maxes, but personal PRs every week on the bench, on the squat, the deadlift. We're trying to do the progressive overload thing.
Yeah, trying to set a standard for progression, but at the same time keeping things simple.
Yep.
Like, take into account the wrestling team that I work with. Like, we lift several days a week, and we have only done, up until this point, I want to say, oh gosh, I'd say probably 8. I'm going to name them out loud, the ones that I can think of. I'm sure that I may miss, but we've probably, up until this point, so we're talking all off season, so during open mats and lifting during the summer, and then our season started in October, November, December, January, into February. We're going to go into March. So you're looking at, you know, well over half a year that we are training and lifting multiple days a week. And to this point, I'm going to take an arbitrary guess and say probably about 8 exercises is all that we've done. Now, again, with those guys, because you have to understand what's the goal. Is the goal to use lifting to get better at wrestling, or is the goal to use lifting to get better at lifting? If they wanted to be more efficient at lifting, Like if they wanted to be bodybuilders or something, then the programming would be different.
Right.
But they just need foundational strength to be better at the skill that is wrestling.
Right.
So what we've done up until this point is we've done a couple different pressing variations for barbell presses. So like a standard bench press. It maybe not an optimal exercise for strength development. You can make arguments that there's some things that are better than that, but for teaching purposes, it's easy and simple, and the kids enjoy doing it. So barbell bench presses, dumbbell presses, like we'll kind of alter the heights. Like we'll do like military presses, incline presses, flat presses, but it's still dumbbell pressing, right?
Right.
We'll do some single arm, some unilateral work, so like single arm overhead pressing. So that's it for our pressing movements. We'll do like rack pulls and trap bar deadlifts for like lower body / posterior chain work, goblet squats, glute hamstrings, and a lot of pull-ups and rows.
Yep.
So right there, that's 9 things, and that's pretty much everything we've done for months and months and months. What I do is I'll kind of like cycle through on a week-to-week basis what exercises we're doing. So we do the same exercise every week, but I'll just kind of pair them differently. Like one day will be like, barbell bench, goblet squats, and pull-ups. Well, I should say that the pull-ups are daily.
Nice.
We do pull-ups every single day.
I think everybody should try to do pull-ups every single day. Like
especially wrestlers.
Yeah, absolutely. And I say try because I can't do pull-ups, but I try every time I step foot into a gym, I'm trying to do pull-ups.
Yeah, we have what we do with our kids is those that can do pull-ups do, and those that can't, we do negatives.
Yeah.
So we're like some of our heavier kids, obviously it's much more difficult. So they jump up, hold their chin above the bar, and they try to go as long as they can. And even if the chin drops below the bar, they don't drop. They keep holding until there's literally 0 elbow flexion and their arms perfectly straight, and then they drop down.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's a lot to be said. Absolutely. A lot to be said for simplicity in that sense.
Yeah. I love the pull-up motion. I cannot. That is the one thing that I will say, this phrase, I cannot wait to be able to do pull-ups.
I'm terrible at them, relatively speaking. Like, it depends on what your context is. Like, again, it would kind of be like me saying, like, my physique is terrible. Like, right. I understand that compared to a normal person, probably not so much, but compared to particular standards, like a contest prep.
Right.
Like, I don't look like I'm going to step on stage, so it's like, oh, this is terrible. But I've never really been great at pull-ups. I was actually at the gym today, and there's a bunch of kids and adults, but mainly like the younger kids that can train. They train and they do like the muscle ups where they flip up. And I tell you what, like some of them are so good at it, and it's unreal. And then they like gas me up, and they're like, "Oh, you could do it." And I said, "Listen, guys, there maybe 10 years ago, but not so much anymore." And plus, obviously, I mean, you and I can both relate to this, having been 2 individuals who have been different weights throughout our lives.
Yeah.
Is that one is really predicated on how much you weigh.
Right, absolutely. Like the lower I get, the closer I get to being able to do an actual pull-up.
Like if I see somebody that's like 250 that can do a couple pull-ups, that is insanely impressive to me.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, the pull-ups are exhausting. I'm definitely not a fan, that's for sure.
And like that is the one thing I wish we had at the station. And it's something that if we ever get a grant or something, we're definitely going to buy as an assisted machine. An assisted pull-up and dip machine. I think those are awesome training tools. When any gym that I train in that has them, I always put them in there.
I told the story about my upbringing when I was with a group of people that kind of took me under their wing at like the local YMCA. Now I was lifting for sports, but this is where I really got like addicted to lifting for lifting, not for sports, but just for weightlifting and weight training. And the group of guys that I trained with, the ringleader, his name was Miles, and Miles had a back injury from college football. I don't know the extent of it, but I know that he had some lower back stuff going on. So they didn't do a whole lot of legs. They had to have like some, I mean, they did, but it was modified leg workouts. Like they weren't barbell squatting. They weren't doing like any type of deadlifting variations. And even like certain row movements, like he couldn't do bent over barbell rows. So we kind of like, we would do a lot of chest supported stuff, like some prone dumbbell rows where you're lying face down on the bench and rowing. So we did a lot of stuff like that for our back training to try to avoid anything that would, irritate the lower back for him. And there were some other guys that were, older that had like some back issues. So one of the things that we would do for a workout, and this was, I would say, probably like every other back workout. So once every 2 weeks, probably, usually like twice a month or thereabouts, we would do a back workout that would consist just of pull-ups, like nothing but pull-ups. It would probably be a full hour. And what we would do is we would vary it. So it would be clustered. So you can't just, I shouldn't say you, I can't.
Yeah, I can't
do straight sets of failure and expect to get anything beneficial for the entirety of a workout with pull-ups. So like I can't do a set of failure on pull-ups and then rest for a little bit and then do a set of failure. I can, but after 3 sets, I'm not going to be able to do any.
Right.
Like it completely taxes me, so I can't do them. So what we would do is we would only do like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 at a time, depending on what your abilities were. And we would do some with like chains, where we'd hang chains around our shoulders, so we would do weighted. Some of the sets we would put dumbbells in between our legs. We would do them for time, like where we had to do like, 10 minutes straight between us, and we would just keep doing pull-ups. We would do wide grip, close grip, supinated grip, hammer grip, like every type of grip you could put on. We would do negatives. We would do iso holds. Like literally the entire back workout was nothing but pull-ups. It was terrible, but it was awesome.
Honestly, I bet your back was fried.
Oh, extremely.
Yes.
Biceps, forearms, everything. It was awesome.
Awesome.
Right now I actually was doing 50 pull-ups. I do it as skill development for myself as well. I do 50 pull-ups every workout. I just upped it to 55 recently, the past couple weeks. Now, again, I can't do 55 pull-ups consecutively in one set. I really can't do 55 pull-ups consecutively no matter how many sets it needs. I have to take breaks and then revisit.
Spread it out throughout the workout.
Yeah, so I do 55 pull-ups right now, a workout, and I cluster them and in 5 rep increments. So I'll do 5. Usually it ends up being about 15 at a time. So my training partner, Christian, and I'll do 5 pull-ups. He'll do 5 pull-ups. I'll do 5 pull-ups. He'll do 5 pull-ups. I'll do 5. He'll do 5. That puts us at 15. Then we'll go do an exercise or a lift. After that lift, we'll come back over, maybe bang out another 15. And we do it in 5 rep increments until we get 55 total.
I like it.
Which it's not overly taxing when you break it up like that, but then you get so much better at the movement itself.
Right.
Like the best I was at pull-ups in recent memory was during the quarantine.
Right.
Because gyms were closed. I was training outside at a track in the summer, and we were like sprinting and doing air squats and push-ups and things that I would consider, I know people don't like this term, but quote, functional strength movements.
Right.
And we set up that pull-up bar behind the bleachers. That's all I was doing was pull-ups. And number 2, not just was I doing them with regularity, but then my body weight was coming down.
Right.
Because I was not strength training. I was doing a lot of cardio, hiking a lot. Food intake was down. So my body weight's going down. I'm doing pull-ups all the time. It was amazing at how good I was.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And then I go back and...
Yeah, when your body weight's going up, food's going up, I mean, that's the goal, right? So, pull-ups are something that's on my list of things. Like, David Goggins is an animal at pull-ups. And I just think that would be so cool to be able to just bang them out.
Yeah.
Like, you guys doing 5 at a time even is something, it's an envious thing for me. Because, like, obviously my body weight's still too high, and it's literally not feasible at this point. For me to expect myself to be able to do pull-ups at 320 pounds is, it's almost ignorant.
Yeah.
So I'm understanding, but yeah, that's something that I cannot wait to program in like you do, like a number for every workout and just program it in.
And I don't want to change this like episode to be entirely about like my training philosophies, because number 1, not all of our listeners care about what my opinion on training is, and number 2, a lot of our listeners aren't necessarily just gym people. Right. However, I think it's a cool segue to bring this up momentarily. Is one of the things that I do with my athletes is I always try to get them to understand how their body moves and really, really focus on what I call movement intelligence. Being able to like have proprioceptive awareness, like where your body is in space, how you can train your body. Like, can you squat? Can you roll? Can you somersault? Can you backflip? Can you jump? Can you kick? Can you run? Can you throw? All those like athletic foundations that humans were designed to do, that for whatever reason we have completely messed up our bodies to be incapable of doing.
Right.
Like, so the example that I've used in the past with my kids is, I'm not going to load you up on a heavy bench press. I say, why not? Can you do push-ups? Some of them can't. So if I have a kid that can't do push-ups, he can't even push his own body weight up.
Right.
How can I justify throwing heavy load onto a barbell and expecting it to be beneficial, number one?
Right.
And then number two is, when you go out on the field or play, or the court or the rink or wherever you're playing, you just have your body weight. You're not going to be loaded with the barbell. So the foundation of your athletic development needs to be deep-rooted in movement.
Yeah.
You need to be able to move first and then lift second.
Yeah. Move the body you're in. You use the weight you already have.
Correct. Yes,
like
absolutely, 100%. So that's kind of a neat little opportunity for us to take a break, because that kind of was like the end of a tangent that we went on right there. So I talked to you before we started, said that I had something I wanted to bring up. Didn't bring it up to you because I said that I wanted our thoughts to be original and organic when I first asked you the question. So after this commercial break, we'll talk about that thing that I wanted to bring up to you.
Cool.
As listeners of the Chasing Dreams podcast, we know that you demand the highest quality at all times. If you're interested in quality, look no further than Beast Mode Baking. Beast Mode Baking aims to bring the highest quality, creative, and of course delicious baked goods to your home with nationwide shipping. All orders need to be pre-ordered to ensure they're packed fresh and shipped out to you as soon as possible. Beast Mode Baking offers a flat rate of $15 for shipping due to the size and weight of the cookies and doughs. So if you're interested in Beast Mode Baking, please contact CEO Shannon Knorr. That's at SKNORR13 on Instagram, and order your delicious baked goods today, because every time you support them, you're supporting the podcast as well.
And we are back from our commercial break. So one of the things that I wanted to bring up today was, I posted on Instagram something about it, and like sometimes I get like hit with these, and I don't want to become preachy to people.
No, I get it.
But like I get hit with like these motivational things that I feel like I need to say. It's like something compels me to say them. And I something along the lines of like your competition. Like I said, you need to be working, because like, what are you willing to sacrifice? Because there's always somebody out there that's willing to sacrifice more than you are.
That's right.
And when you meet that person is going to beat you. There's always somebody out there willing to give more, willing to work harder, willing to sacrifice more, willing to live in comfort less than you are. Now, you may be in the 99th percentile, but there's that 1% guy, and when he meets you, he's going to beat you.
Yeah, he's going to get you.
And that was something that I thought about, and I kind of immediately just went on this little like thinking hiatus, and just immediately I kind of like, when I posted that, I thought about I didn't really think about much of anything except for our podcast. And I thought, man, when I posted that, how counterintuitive is that to everything that you and I have said, considering everything we do is about self-mastery and self-improvement. And like the Chasing Dreams podcast is founded on chasing your dreams. Right? And everything we talk about is, if you beat the logbook, that's all that matters. As long as you're beating your personal best, as long as you are becoming a better version of yourself, as long as you don't have to win, the 5K, as long as your time was better. You don't have to win the bodybuilding contest as long as you look better. And I get that. And I agree with that. I'm not in disagreement with anything that we've said over the past 65 previous episodes here. Like, I agree with that. However, do you think that it is unhealthy or we'll just say not the right mentality to have for someone who wants to be successful, to strictly and solely be measuring yourself against others? Only against others? Because you could obviously throw nuance in there and say, well, it's important to have both. It's like, yeah, duh, I know. But let's just talk about, if you are trying to be a bodybuilder and you're only trying to win, you don't care if you look worse than before, you're just trying to beat everybody else. Or if you're owning a business, you don't care if you made more money than last year, as long as you are beating every other business and all your competitors. Is it okay from a competitive nature to completely almost disregard self-improvement? Or I shouldn't say disregard it, because you are going to have self-improvement, but focus solely on external motivation and not internal motivation. Is that okay?
I mean, I mean, who am I to say yes or no? But for me, I would say no.
Now,
Like,
do you think that's because that's how you're wired?
yes.
Do you think that there are people out there, and I know people, I don't know if they're 100% like this, but I know people that are very, let's say, much more heavily influenced by external motivation than internal motivation. Like, they would much rather be, the strongest guy in the gym, but be weaker than they are now.
So I know there's guys out there like that because I have a group of guys, a group of people, guys, girls, everybody.
Yeah, we use that pronoun universally.
Yeah.
We're not trying to gender
Right.
specify here.
Yeah. I have a group of human beings that I send that I'll send like my training clips to, like, because I always record my top sets to make sure my form's on. But here and again, I'll get videos where I'll feel really good about it. Like, I just pulled 405 for 5 last week. I sent that to all you guys. I benched 265 like 2 days ago for 3. I sent that to you guys. This one individual says, "Look at you. By the time I get back in the gym, we'll actually be able to compete." Now, we're friends. And it's not a competition to me. Like, I know that I'm better than the guy I'm looking at in the mirror.
Mm-hmm.
Every time that I go and look in the mirror, I know I'm better than that guy was yesterday. So I'm beating the guy I care about. But yeah, so I mean, I don't know how people are wired that. I got off on a tangent there for a second. So, like, to answer your question, I don't know how that works.
Well, I think it's like kind of discerning, and I don't know if this fits perfectly in this type of situation, but it's almost like being able to discern between the difference between having an unrelenting desire to win versus an unrelenting desire to not lose. Like,
Okay.
they seem like the same thing, right?
Well, so I have something for that, and this is just because I'll forget it if I don't say it. I've always been a huge wrestling fanatic. I love high school wrestling and college wrestling. And I've always said I don't even like to watch the state finals, the actual finals match, because kids change. All through the state tournament, all through the districts and the sectionals, all through the season, these stud wrestlers always wrestle to win. They wrestled their best match all the way through these tournaments. And then you get to the finals of the big matches, the big tournaments, the state tournament. And they're wrestling. They stop wrestling to win and they start wrestling to not lose.
Mm-hmm.
And it changes. So you get a bunch of, double and triple overtime matches because neither one of them want to lose.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'd rather you guys be done in the first period, but both you leave it all out there on the mat and do the thing. So yeah, I don't like when people want to not lose.
Because sometimes, like, it's a, and I'm not talking physical, I'm talking mental. Like, there's sometimes where people who want to win and they have this overwhelming desire or passion to win, they're elated when they do win. Like, if they accomplish a goal, it's the greatest thing ever. And if they lose, they tend to be a little bit more optimistic because, okay, well, I lost and it stinks, but I'm really just focused on winning the next one. I want to win. You have another paradigm of people where it's, I can't lose. And when I win, there's a little bit of complacency. I don't want to say complacency, but a lack of enthusiasm with winning because that was the job.
I think I might be that person.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So,
because,
it seems like it's the same thing because
but it's not.
winning and losing are opposites. You can want to win and not want to lose, but the mental approach to both of those is different. So I feel like it could be kind of transposed to talking about the self-improvement versus beating other people because they're going to happen naturally
unison.
together. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, in unison. Like, if I'm lifting to beat somebody else at a bodybuilding show, it doesn't matter necessarily for progression purposes if I'm lifting to better myself and really trying to beat my old self, or if I'm trying to beat that other person. The things I'm going to do for progression, I'm going to do regardless.
Right.
I just wondered if you had any thoughts on if it was okay to base a lot of your And then, like you said, though, it's like, who are we to say what should and shouldn't motivate people, right?
Right. I mean, I think whatever your goal is, whatever your motivation is to do your thing, like that's yours. But I just don't know how it would be healthy to always do everything you do to be better than somebody else. You know
I don't
what I
think
mean?
it's well, because I probably would say it's not sustainable.
No, because eventually you're gonna seclude yourself to an island where there's nobody around you because nobody wants to be around somebody that wants to be better than them all the time.
And what do you do when you don't have competition? So that was one thing for me when sports in my life had come to an end. I felt like lost
Yeah.
because I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life, recreationally speaking. So like, and it just so happened that that point in my time, that point in my life was, I was at a crossroads with my future plans career wise also. Like I was changing my majors in college. It was a disaster. Like mentally for me, I was one of those like lost kids that had no idea. And I was looking for answers because I needed that like sense of competition. Like it was like, I need this, I need this. So if you're constantly like measuring yourself to other people and trying to beat other people and like that natural competitiveness that some people have, it's going to be really, really difficult to sustain because you may not always have competition. Like when I'm bodybuilding, am I going to give up training when I can't compete anymore?
Right.
Like, is lifting going to be done for me? Is fitness, is health, is well-being, is pushing myself, is motivation? Is that going to be done for me because I don't have anybody else to, quote, go against? Or do I find new ways to compete against other people? It's
I like it.
I don't really know.
I don't know the answer. It's almost like that's almost like an open-ended question that we could revisit as time goes on, as down like you know what I mean? Because I don't know the answer to it. Like,
Maybe that's something we need to ask people who are more successful than us.
Yeah.
So like, hey, how did you get to the top of your sport or the top of your career? Do you measure yourself to other people? Is it because I feel like the right answer is to say I only care about improving myself, right? Like
Yeah.
that's
If we were trying to toe the line to exactly the self-mastery theme of this podcast,
yeah.
that would be the correct answer, 100%.
Well, it's the politically correct answer
Right,
too.
but
Like I don't do this for other people. Like I just do this for myself. Like there's a very good benefit to bodybuilding is you look really good.
Yeah.
And you get to beat other people.
Yeah.
Like
you get it all.
Like I don't really care how this comes across, but I enjoy getting on stage and beating everyone.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's like validation for me or what it is, but like I
It's
enjoy
proof of
knowing
all the
that
hard
like,
work.
yeah, absolutely. And like maybe there's some deep rooted psychological issues there where it's like almost like spite, like never thinking I was good enough and now I'm better than everyone at that particular show or whatever. I don't know what it is, but like I don't want to give the politically correct answer and say, oh, I only do this because I love it and I just want to improve myself. Like I do want to improve myself. That's true.
Yeah.
You're the same way. But like if I go up and even if I looked better than I did at my last show and I come in third or second or fourth, like that's going to destroy me.
Yeah.
Even if I look better.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean?
Because you want to win.
Because I want to win.
You're naturally,
Exactly.
you want to win. I guess if I take it and look at it from my perspective, for me, my right now journey is weight loss.
Yeah.
So success and failure in weight loss is getting fatter or getting skinnier.
I guess your perspective, is different. I never thought about that.
So it's been tough because, last year I gained a bunch of weight back, but we did it strength wise. It was so, on the scale, it doesn't show. And I'm not skinny enough. I'm not small enough in a physique manner to say, well, he put 50 pounds of lean muscle on. And everybody in the room knows that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so,
if you put on lean muscle,
You're
if you're a
see
lower
it.
body weight, it's going to be visually
Right. With
manifesting.
me, we know that I put on a bunch of muscle because all of my lifts are astronomically larger. Like, so much larger that it's different. It's weird. Because you can't see it.
Yeah.
So, I guess with me, it's a little bit of both. I'm doing this for me because I want to be the best version of myself on a daily basis, and that is the politically correct answer. But that's the truth.
But that's the truth with you, because who are you competing against right now?
Well, this guy inside my mind, because I still walk into a room and when I'm walking down the aisle at Walmart, I turn sideways when I walk past somebody, because I feel like that's going to narrow the footprint for myself and take the vision off of me. You know what I mean? So I'm competing against everybody, because I feel like everybody's looking at me like I'm still that 526-pound guy that can only buy the one certain pair of bib overalls that will almost fit right, and is going to have to circle the parking lot for 20 minutes till somebody pulls out of a spot that's close enough to the door. You know, I'm still that guy in my mind.
It's like imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
Like you don't feel like you're there yet. You feel like you're still a fake.
Right. And so that's why, and this is a kind of a sidebar topic, that's why I so heavily think about mental health with people.
Yeah.
When somebody is sad, or you can visually see somebody's just broken, it bothers a lot of people, but it really bothers me because I relate.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in the best shape of my adult life. I am living the dream. Like I say, I'm living the dream because I'm actually living the dream. I'm a firefighter. I'm a father. I'm a husband. I got a house. I got a really nice job. I got to drive a nice truck. You know, I'm living the dream. Like,
yeah.
But I still look in the mirror and I hate what I see. And I'm not going to I don't think I'm ever going to see. I think I could look in the mirror and see what I want to see, and I'll still hate what I see because of what I've seen for so long. And so, yeah, I mean, I guess I'm kind of competing against everybody because I feel like everybody's judging me. And that's not right. I know that's wrong. But it's like you said, imposter syndrome or body dysmorphia. You know what I mean? That stuff's real.
Like I even have that mental thing as well. Like when people will come up and ask me for advice. And I know that they're coming up to me to ask for advice because they know that I know how to help them.
Right.
But it's still surreal that I have people come up to me all the time and ask me questions, because at one point I was that person asking other people questions.
I'm living that right now.
And it's like you never get to that point. I don't think where like, you know, it's almost like, I think that for me, the volume of that happening has gone up. So I'm not surprised that people ask me for advice. Clearly, like I charge a lot of money for people to ask me for advice now. So I've gotten to that point in my career, but I have a lot of people, and I think that the number of people is what's been alarming in a good way for me.
Right.
So at first it was, wow, these people are asking me for advice. And then it was, wow, these people are paying me for advice. Yeah. And then a couple years down the road, it becomes, I can't believe the number of people that are paying me for my advice. And then you just think that, like, there's got to be better options out there. And then you think for a second, like, no, there's not. Like, at what point am I able to sit back and say, like, no, I know what I'm doing? Like, I
can't answer that.
I was getting an adjustment with Dr. Ryan, who's been a previous guest of ours. And he likes to play, and it's kind of this one thing that it just kind of happened where he would play different things to try to relax me a little bit, so the adjustment goes smoother, and I just, like, you know, completely leave my body. As someone who's a bodybuilder, so in tune with how everything feels and moving everything, and he doesn't want me inside my body. He wants me completely out of it so he can adjust me and crack the things, and I'm not, like, tense or thinking about it.
Right.
So we kind of would listen to different music and different, like, trance things, and eventually led to where we listened to, like, motivational speakers. And it's not necessarily intense motivational speakers. Some of it's relaxing. But we had Ed Milet on the one day. I don't know if you know Ed.
I do not.
Well, you will shortly, and you will like him a lot. And he was talking about the most important thing when you network with people, and I'm paraphrasing here. He was saying how it's very, very... Everybody stresses the importance of making people believe in you. And, like, if I say that the ketogenic diet is the best, I need to make Justin believe me. You believe me, Justin. And he's like, that's not what you have to do. You have to convince the person that you believe it. So I'm not trying to convince people that my training philosophies are the best. I'm trying to show them that I know they're the best.
Yeah, you're not out here selling one thing and doing another.
Yeah, I know that this is the best. And that's kind of, there's like that subtle line between confidence and cockiness. And I'd work with a lot of people, namely Dr. Ryan, who's helped me kind of understand where that is, because I always tried to play the humility card. Like when people would say, "Oh, I heard you're a good oh, no, yeah, I'm not." Like I had it just the other day. I was training with a newer client, and someone comes up to me as we were training, and he pats me on the back and says, "Hey," he said, "this guy right here talking to my client," he goes, "he is the smartest guy I've ever met in my life." And I said, "Well, I don't know about that." I said, "You must not know a lot of people." And he's like, "In the gym, smartest guy I've ever met in my life." And I was like very dismissive of it, like, "Oh, and he looks at me and says, "Can you not just take a compliment?" But like,
right.
I feel like all compliments are speaking hyperbolically. So like when somebody says like something about me, I feel like they're exaggerating.
No doubt.
No matter what it is.
Right.
Like even if it's something simple, like, "Hey, you look pretty good. Look like you're gaining some muscle." I think, "Oh, I mean, it's just a shirt," or they're just really saying that. I mean, it doesn't look that much different. Like they're just kind of, gassing me up a little bit, trying to hype me up. Like they don't really feel that way.
So we're definitely alike in that sense, because people tell me all the time how excellent I've done in life, how much better I look. And it's not all the time, because I don't see people all the time that I haven't seen in a while, because that's the ones that you can tell it's genuine.
It's the most profound too. Yeah,
it's like I just seen my mom last weekend, first time since August.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like almost in tears because of the physique changes that I've made since August.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it was the baby. I don't know. No, I'm kidding. It was probably the baby. No, she was like, "You look incredible. Like I see your pictures and your videos and your posts on Facebook and Instagram, and we talk all the time, but like you look incredible." And I don't believe it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like, and I don't understand that. Like, that's my mother. I know she wouldn't lie to me. So I understand.
But then you also chalk it up as, I'm sure, because I know how you are and I know how well, that's my mom. She has to say
she
those
has
things.
to say that thing. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So like, and I don't know how to, like, I see what you're doing and the ways that you're trying to combat it.
You can annotate every compliment with an excuse.
Exactly.
Like, "Oh, that guy said I look real good." Well, he's never been to a bodybuilding show, so exactly. I don't look good in the grand scheme of things. He just thinks I look good because I'm the only bodybuilder he knows.
Right.
Or, "Oh, my grandma said I'm a strong young boy." Well, that's my grandma. All grandmas say that.
Yeah.
She doesn't really think that I'm that strong looking or whatever.
Here's an example. My wife told me the other day, how many people can tell you, like, because I got that promotion at the fire station now, where it's not really a promotion, but it's a position, fitness coordinator, which took me by surprise because, like, I'm just a fat guy losing weight. We talk about that all the time here and there. And anyway, I was talking to her, like, just trying to bounce, like, the thoughts in my brain off of another human that's been there through this whole journey.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, look at yourself in the mirror. Like, who else do you know, or who else do you know of that could say they lost 226 pounds in a year?
Yeah.
Nobody.
A lot of people, and this is a compliment, a large majority of people will never even weigh that, let alone have the opportunity. You've lost over a whole human.
Right. And yeah, but you know where my mind defaultly goes to that?
Probably that you messed it up by getting that heavy in the first place.
Yeah, like, how many people allow themselves to get so big,
of course,
that they can lose a whole human and still be morbidly obese?
Of course. Absolutely. And like, I think that, and I just want to throw this disclaimer out there. Like, this is not us trying to boast and get chesty with how many compliments we get. Like, it's not like my life is just inundated with compliment after compliment.
No, it's not.
I'm just saying that when I do get them,
right,
there's automatically an excuse to be able to say, "Oh, well, you're just trying to hype me up, or you don't really understand bodybuilding." There's always an excuse that I can come up in my head to kind of not take that compliment. But now over the past several months, I feel like I'm getting a lot better at that. Like, for example, I had the conversation with a first-time client, and I told him, this is the best money that your father's ever spent on you. And that can come across as, that's a very, very controversial statement. Some people might say, I can't believe that you would say that. You don't know what that father's spent on his kid, but as far as his long-term athletic future, I put that in a specific clause there. Athletically, this is the best money that your parents have ever spent on you.
Well, they don't call you the scholarship trainer for nothing.
There you go. That's my thing, is I always try to return the money that I'm getting paid in some way, shape, or form.
There you go. So I guess that's an open invitation for me personally for what I'm dealing with. And if you've listened all the way through this 45-minute episode, you know what in my head where I'm at. If you have the answer for me of how to get over this hump and accept the compliments and believe it myself, look me up, because I'd love to talk to you. Or come on and be a guest.
Yeah.
So, because I don't know. I could talk to you till I'm blue in the face and you'll tell me all the time how great I'm doing. I can talk to my wife all the time until she'll tell me until she's blue in the face how great I'm doing. Or my very small, select circle of people that I talk to and I trust and I believe. And I don't believe that. And I don't want somebody to tell me I'm doing great. I want somebody to tell me how to believe in myself the way I want everybody to believe in their self.
Yeah. I agree with that.
I don't want you to tell me I'm great, because I'm not going to believe you. But I do want you to tell me how to believe practice what I preach.
Mm-hmm.
I guess. I think that's the best way I could put it.
I think that's a pretty good way to end it.
Yeah.
I feel like we were kind of all over the board in a sense today, but I think it was pretty cool to talk about something that's kind of contradicts everything that we've preached prior. Like, we always talk about intrinsic motivation, self-motivation, being focused solely on personal improvement. But let's be honest and address the elephant in the room, that there's always some part of us, and sometimes it's almost all of us, that want to compete against other people, and that in those instances, despite being politically incorrect, it's okay to be focused on beating other people and overcoming. That's part of what being a champion is, and being the best is at whatever you do.
Absolutely. And there's always a winner and a loser in any kind of competition of some sort, rather it being professionally. If there's a promotion up for grabs, somebody's going to win and somebody's going to lose. If it's in physical fitness and it's a race, or it's a powerlifting meet, or it's a bodybuilding competition, or it's a football game or a basketball game, somebody's going to go home losing. So there's nothing wrong. In my opinion, I guess my overall thought is there's nothing wrong with wanting to be the one that doesn't go home losing.
Yep. I agree.
I don't know. But I'm not a professional at anything. So,
I'm a professional at not being a professional.
Yes.
The one thing that I've always said throughout my prep with that is, I would always tell people, that this was part of my self-confidence building. Almost like self-talk to help build my confidence going into a show, is I would always say that we're going to show up and ruin some people's days.
Yes.
There's going to be some people that train really, really hard, and their families are going to pay a lot of money to come see them. Some people are going to travel real far, and I feel for those people, because those people, someday they're going to have their day. They're going to have their day where they win, and they're going to be, great champions, and all their hard work's going to come to fruition. But unfortunately,
not today.
It's not going to be today. It's going to have to be another day.
Yep.
So with that, I think we should be able to wrap it up, huh?
Yeah, I think so.
All right. So we have come to the end of another episode of the Chasing Dreams podcast with Charlie and Justin. This has been episode 66. Thanks for tuning in to listen to us ramble, and hopefully we will hear back from you all next week.
Unbreakable, unstoppable.